We have traveled through time, of course. AEW Dynamite had another banner episode last night.
Oh, good Lord.
Coming from Tampa, Florida on the 2nd of August.
Well, as the old saying goes, if brains were dynamite, they couldn't blow their nose over there on Wednesday nights. But we won't be so unkind so far before we mention that this was the 200th episode of Dynamite. And I would like to recognize, I saw this on Twitter this morning, in honor of the 200 episodes that have aired of AEW Dynamite. A Twitter account, I wrote it down. The name is Twinkle Toes McFingerbang, but it's at Ring of Botches. So if anybody wants to look at this before it gets taken down, they compiled 5 different videos celebrating the top 200 botches on AEW over the years. And
oh, wow.
It was like 2 minutes and 18 seconds or whatever you can put on Twitter. 5 different videos, and it never stopped coming. Many of them set to Heaven is a Place on Earth. But just the fact that nobody has had a tragedy, let's put it that way, is just in fucking incredible. And or on the other side of the fence, the incredible shit that they've done that didn't come within a fucking half a mile of anybody that they've sold was also incredible. But it was more cringy watching this was a hell of a piece of work to compile this, and even numbered them on the screen, counting down 200, 199, 198. It was amazing.
In order of appearance, not in order of like quality of the botch, right?
Well, that would be subjective. I don't even know if it was in order of appearance. It was in order of one came after another one, and there was 200 of them.
Do you think there should be star ratings for botches?
I don't think we ought to open that can of peas or worms or whatever insect or mammal life may lie within that fucking can. Speaking of insect and mammal life, we had both of them represented with Chris Jericho and Don Fallis were out there. Which one is the mammal and which one is the insect? So remember, this tag team match was set up where Don said, team up with a member of my family just to see if this thing fits. And Jericho said, okay, so it's Jericho and Take a Shit. And then Don surprised Jericho with the opponents were Garcia and Guevara. And that's not a Hispanic remake of Cagney and Lacey. That's Sammy Guevara and Danny Garcia, the Rock's ex-wife. And
same name, different person, obviously.
Is that 2 different people?
She's much bigger.
Okay. So they beat up Jericho for a while. A lot of chops in this match. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of Garcia's little dance there. But Take a Shit, every time he gets in the ring, he looks the best of anybody. He's got the size. He's in shape. He's got an he's a good-looking young man, but he's got that look like if you put him in a fucking suit, he's a goddamn high-level Japanese Yakuza guy. He's not one of the fucking finger cutters. He's got personality, and he moves across the ring like crazy. And there were 2 segments of this match. The first segment, it wasn't nothing to write home about. The second segment, they got a slow heat on Garcia. At one point, Jericho went for the lion salt. Garcia was supposed to raise his knees, but he was where Jericho had left him, he was too far in the middle of the ring, so Jericho did the lion salt and landed with his knees on Garcia, but since Garcia was supposed to raise his knees, Jericho sold it like he'd landed on. And then they made simultaneous cold tags. And Garcia made a comeback with dives. Dive, dive, dive. Can you imagine if you put any of these fucking AEW wrestlers in the Navy and had them on a submarine? If somebody said, dive, 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 it looked like a goddamn chaos at Romper Room. Anyway, so Sammy did a backflip off the top rope to the floor onto Take a Shit and elbowed Take a Shit right in the fucking mush, right in the mouth. And he goes down, whoa, fuck. I told you, elbows, knees, 200 pounds almost of human beings spinning from 12 feet in the air. You want to catch the motherfucker? So then Garcia got a sharpshooter while the referee's attention was elsewhere, and Don got the bat and hit Garcia in the head with it and broke the hold, and Jericho saw it and was shocked and concerned and then covered him anyway, 1, 2, 3. So there was nothing silly, and they didn't use furniture, but it was a standard tag team match, and there's more strife now because later on in a backstage confrontation, Daddy Mac Daddy tells Jericho there's a mandatory Jericho Appreciators meeting next week and he needs to be there. So obviously there's going to be repercussions for this perceived treachery. Brian, what do you think?
Should they announce that they're staying together as a faction but without him, so they'll just be like the non-appreciators?
Well, no, then they're just appreciators. If you take the Jericho out of the Jericho Appreciation Society, you go from jazz to just ass.
But what if...
Actually, that may be an appropriate name. They all look like a big group of ass.
All right. Well, that was the opening of the show. I agree with you about Takeshita. Takeshita's really good. He deserves better. You know, I tried to give them a little bit of credit for those early weeks after his heel turn where he came out with Don Callis and they gave him the dark, ominous drone music. And Takeshita looked like a badass and he was winning. Then they started having him get his ass kicked a little bit by the Bucks or whatever it was. And now he's doing this. He's just lost in the middle of all this crap. They should be doing something with just him.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, why could we not find out that Takeshita, as they call him, even though we know his real name.
As they call him, who? His parents?
Yeah.
Everyone who's known him his entire life?
Yeah, all those people, even though we know his real name, they call him that. Why couldn't we find out that not only is he Japanese and has just come here, but that also that his family is connected and he could wear that fucking, you know, the leather and the fucking Japanese gangster looking shit. And at some point, and he obviously has a ton of money because his family's connected. So he's got Don as his, you know, business manager because speak American, because English is a second language. But Don's doing his business, but he's got all kinds of money. And he's got women. They could have the women around him, the limousines. And then if somebody fucks with him, he could go to cut off their fucking finger.
See, I think that's the only thing. I think there's a reason why none of the Japanese wrestlers who ever intend on living again in Japan ever do anything that's Yakuza-based on American TV.
Well, then couldn't he do everything except try to cut off somebody's finger?
Otherwise, I think it would be good.
And his family's just rich the old-fashioned way.
Otherwise, he's just a second fiddle in the middle of Jericho's drama feud.
He could be a rich kid whose father has bought his way into wrestling, and he's got all the limousines and the private planes and women hanging off of him and all these suits and everything.
Is this
because of his rich father?
If you substitute the word father for mother, you're fantasy booking the first year of Jim Cornette.
Well, no, if you substitute the word father for the word shad, you're just fucking said Tony don't have the women. And well, his father's got a lot of money. Tony may have the women too, but he doesn't look as good in a suit. But you see where I'm going with this. Make the fucking guy star.
But is this doing it, being in the middle of this Jericho stuff? Because the focus went from him and Don Callis to Callis and Jericho right away.
Yeah. And did we ever see Don in Take's corner just with Take winning a significant match?
I think that like first week. And it was like, okay, they're trying it with this guy.
No, I mean, it was a job guy. I'm talking about a significant match that's been advertised and was an accomplishment of some kind. I think he beat a job guy.
Well, it was definitely a job match, but I don't think he's had a significant match that was one-on-one with Callis. And if they have, it was on a Friday night.
Has he had a significant match with one-on-one with anybody that he's won? Take a shit.
I don't know.
Well, there you go. So already he's in good hands. Now we'll move on to the next thing. And speaking of moving on to the next thing, and I just mentioned him a few minutes ago, you do it, Brian.
Thanks, guys.
Well, there you have it. Tony Khan to come out on they've changed the view on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. It was a little closer shot, but and they do the nice soft focus in the background with the pleasing lights, so you can't really tell whether it's a green screen or not. And he read a slow-moving teleprompter statement thanking everybody, first of all, for watching. And boy, I don't know how you could ever express enough gratitude for people watching this particular program.
I am a real boy. I have emotion and feeling, just like you.
And right before his spring in the back wound all the way down and he stopped being able to talk, he introduced a package of highlights from the first 200 episodes, which contained a lot of really stupid, recklessly dangerous spots, dumb bumps, and garbage matches. And that was about 80% of it. And you had a couple of actual highlights of real stars just being real stars, but mostly it was just chaos and mayhem.
You know, I liked it. I'm always a sucker for these kind of retrospective videos. So even though it was filled with a lot of garbage shit.
Do you mean in a 2.5-minute video of the first 200 episodes, we needed to see the Puddin' Gang pull up in his mother's minivan?
I think if you were going to do an encapsulation of 200 episodes of this show, that has to be there. How many times has it been on the show?
I don't think we should do an encapsulation. I think we should do an incarceration of 200 episodes of this show. They should be quarantined somewhere.
How many drive-ins? How many drive-ins did she have?
Oh, at least 4 or 5.
Right. So you have to show her. You have to show that.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, there was a lot of stuff I'd completely forgotten about. Mike Tyson and his crew facing off with Jericho that went nowhere. And of course, Shaq and Jade, which went nowhere.
Nowhere.
And Cody and Brandy. It was good that, you know what? That was one of the things I did like to see, that they showed Cody in there. They showed Brandy in there because they are an important part of the story. And like I said, I like these kind of things. When you did the one at the end of 1992, it's one of my favorite things ever when I was like tape trading to Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, actually.
Did you see anybody's mother pull up to drop them off at the matches in that video that I did?
Well, there was that one time where Ron Garvin had a flat tire and his mom drove him. No, I don't know. No.
Speaking of flat tires, perfect segue to Jack Perry. Now, Tony Schiavone was in the ring, and he introduced the former Jungle Boy. Here came Jack down to the ring and immediately snatched the microphone away from Tony, and Tony kept talking into his empty hand. And then he really did.
I know.
And then he just stood there while Jack Perry called out Jerry Lynn. And remember last week, Jerry Lynn had taken exception. Last week when we left the Space Family Robinson, Jerry Lynn had taken exception to Jack Perry maligning the ECW generation of wrestlers. And he'd come out and taken him to task for that. And Jack Perry said, well, if you show up next week, then I may kick your ass, or something to that effect. And honestly, I didn't think it through. I thought we were going to get a match. And then I remembered when Jerry came out in street clothes and did his promo that he has a bad neck, and that's why he retired. But I was thinking maybe he's going to have, see if he can teach the kid anything. So we're not going to get a match. He comes out in street clothes, and he said if he beat Jack up, it would be child abuse, which is actually probably pretty close to the truth. But then because he's got the bad neck and the pins and etc., he called a friend from ECW. And this was where it wasn't really clearly laid out. He's called a friend that used to work for ECW. And he said, so what do you say, Jungle? And I was like, to what? There wasn't really a thing for him to respond to there. But then the fans started chanting RVD before any music hit, and then suddenly the music hit, and it was RVD. How did they know?
His old music, too, from ECW.
I'm not an expert on that.
Well, Tony is, and Tony went and got the license for it.
How is this a band that he would have had to pay significant money to, or is this just somebody who was happy to get the work?
No, I think it was Pantera, so I think it was a band that was significant. I don't know how, because when he said someone else from ECW, my mind immediately went to, like, we just talked about the Bigelow Dark Side. Who's still standing that could work a match? I think Sabu can't work a match right now.
Right.
At least on a national television show.
He was on the show also,
right.
In a completely different situation here not long ago, and didn't light the world on fire with falling off the top rope. But.
So I didn't know, and the fans started chanting RVD, and I just seen something he did. At least I just saw the video. I don't know if it's new or not. That Inside the Ropes did an interview with RVD over in England, and I was watching. And I was like, man, he still looks like RVD. He looks like the same guy. So when the music hit and the place popped, they were in on it. But RVD still standing from ECW.
I was like, well, fuck, they've ruined their goddamn surprise here. But maybe people didn't hear it. Anyway, out he came. And he got face to face with Jack Perry, and Jack Perry rolled out and walked off. And as RVD and Jerry Lynn were conversing in the ring, Perry comes back with a chair and swings it, but RVD ducks the chair, jumps up and does a spin kick, but Jack Perry ducks that, bails to the floor, and leaves. And I get later on, we'll find out we're going to get a match next week. Rob Van Dam has always stayed in shape with his flexibility and etc. Here did it look like he was walking in I don't know how to phrase it. I don't want to make it sound like he was a cripple, but was he walking a little crooked? Is he still wrestling and having matches? And is that a good thing for him to want to do on a national TV show against this kid 30 years younger than him? I haven't seen Rob work in ages and eons.
I haven't seen him work, I don't think, since he left WWE the last time. I believe he went to Impact, and he's done various other things. I don't know if he's working a full-time schedule wrestling right now, but I would have to think there has to be a way to get something good out of at least, I'm not saying go 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, hopefully nobody will say that about any of these matches.
But a good few minutes with Rob Van Dam, you'll get, people will be happy to see him, and they'll be upset when Jungle Boy pins him. And I'm not going to completely shit once again.
Hopefully, will that be the finish? I'm not going to shit on it now, especially if they don't go too long, and especially if Jungle Boy doesn't win. Holy free holy.
No, but every week, I've enjoyed Jungle Boy's heel stuff so far, but every week he leans into it a little bit more. Just a little bit more. There's a little bit more than it was the last week. So I'm still optimistic this could work out and be something.
It sounds like a helicopter leaning into your property up there. Did you get the helipad opened up on the south wing?
The one time I say nothing about the background noise is the one time you mentioned the background noise. So now
that's the only time I've heard it.
God damn it.
Anyway, all right, let's get to the next part of this thing. And again, folks, we have not got the ratings yet. This just happened last night. Ratings haven't come out, but we are both, Brian and I, just salivating to find this out because there's limits to human endurance. I mean, if you were confined to a hospital bed in a medically induced coma and could not reach the remote or use telekinesis to will the channel to change, you may have watched the rest of this program. But this one right here, triple threat, anything goes, no DQ, lazy booking.
My specialty.
Trent of the Puddin' Gang. Penthouse with Alex.
Knock, knock.
And you heard him, folks, the plumber, John Moxley.
Captain Blood.
Didn't they just do Last week, a triple threat tag team match with these guys and 3 more guys.
You know what? It was midway through this match where I realized it wasn't a rematch. There was no other tag team. It was just a singles 3-way.
They went from a 3-way tag team match last week that's no DQ, anything goes, to this week a triple threat anything goes, no DQ singles match with half of the people that were in the match last week. And so to make up for it, there was more garbage here and more. Again, it was the same garbage match you would expect from 3 guys who are either rotten workers, have no common sense, or work for a company run by a mark, or in some cases, all 3. The first 2 moves. I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Checkmate.
Well, the thing is, they started fighting before the plumber even got to the goddamn ring, as far as I can recall, but they were all on the floor. That's where the match started. And the first 2 moves of the match were dives. People were diving before they even fucking said hello. And then I think Penthouse brought in a garbage can and a lid. And that's when the plumber pulled out a barbed wire 2x4. And Penthouse got a table. No, but it was 2 tables, and they were setting them up at ringside while the fucking plumber had already raked the barbed wire over Jobber Trent's head, so he was bleeding. And they've got job guys that matter not for anything, getting color on their television just to satisfy Moxley and his fucking delusions, dementia, warpness, whatever the fuck. And again, the Lucha Brothers, we've seen them 4 fucking years. Nobody knows what they could take their masks off next week and give them 2 different names, and they could run for 4 more years as different people. But goddamn, we've seen everything they've got going on. This is constantly the same, and it devalues and diminishes the people with actual talent that are trying their best to get over on this program, because Tony indulges these fucking idiots in more tables. And the plumber got superplexed off the top rope through tables, but he was up moments later. Trent let fucking Penthouse give him a Canadian destroyer off the top rope through a table. The plumber poured out a bag of thumbtacks. They all rolled around in them, and then the plumber made sure to take a big bump in them so he could have 100 of them sticking in his back. Renee Moxley Good looks like a normal fucking human being. How does she tolerate this fucking guy in the other end of the house? It'd be like living with the fucking freaks in the circus. And then they all stood there and chopped each other. And then the plumber DDT'd Penthouse, and Trent stole the win. The first match that Trent has won on Dynamite in 3 years is a garbage match where he beats, in effect, the guy that's a former AEW world champion, is supposed to be one of the top names in the company, this buggy whipped armed fucking sunken chested goddamn balding fucking geek from Cincinnati.
Mitchell.
And then all the partners came down. And they all got in a fake-looking fight on the floor that went forever with more furniture. And then Moxley, remember I told you last week, it looks like Moxley got hot at old Pockets because he fucking got up out from under him and just walked off on their fight? This time, Pockets, right in the middle of the ring, gave Moxley the Superman punch, and Moxley did the fucking drunk-legged cell and staggered and went through the ropes and landed on his feet, never went down from this fucking goof's punch.
Jake Roberts and Muhammad Ali.
There you go.
Nor the Barbarians bumping all over the place. Jake won't go down.
Except Jake's response was, I'm coming back, and he's not. Well, both these motherfuckers are coming back. I think maybe Moxley thinks now he's too badass to go down for the fucking phony move of a fucking mascot. But nevertheless, then Muffin Top, old Muffin Top Taylor of the Puddin' Gang, he got on the microphone and made sure to say goddamn. And they're going to have some match on the Friday show that nobody watches. I would fire the fucking bunch of these morons. Except if I was Tony, I couldn't fire him because I'm the one that probably said, oh yeah, go out and do all this stupid shit and cuss on my television. Bleed for no reason.
You know, the most infuriating thing may be having had to sit through this putrid series of matches so far, that they're sending everyone to Friday night to see the conclusion of this, which means no one's going to be watching. That's just a waste of our time. At least do it next week on this show.
Yes. Again, nobody wants to see any more of that to begin with. But even if it was good, they're probably not going to watch the Friday night show because it's not going to be as good as the Saturday night show. And it's usually not even as good as the Wednesday night show. So you've already shot yourself in the dick on Friday night. So don't advertise something that nobody's going to fucking bother to partake in anyway on this thing. And then just, we never see the resolution. And it's not just us. It's, what is it? 35 or 40% of the, or is it that much of the Wednesday night audience actually watches Friday?
Oh, I got to check what the numbers are. Everything else is going up. Every other show, like NXT's been going up. We have to talk about that at some point on a future show. Rampage is the one that, it's like it barely exists.
We can hope. Anyway, I then wrote, thank God, on the night of 1,000 jobbers, here comes MJF's music. And help me figure this one out, Brian. He comes out and he's the smiling MJF, you know, and we're continuing on with this transformation in his personality. But he said that not only does he have ADD, and I'm thinking, if this motherfucker has ADD, everyone should aspire to have ADD. He's the quickest, smartest, most clever fucking guy in the company and gets everything about the wrestling business. Isn't ADD supposed to be harmful in some way?
I wouldn't say harmful. It's just something that, it's a trait. I don't know how to describe it, but I wouldn't say harmful.
Well, he says he not only does he have ADD, but he also has rejection-sensitive disorder, which means he can't regulate rejection. Or rejection, I was making notes because I was trying to, goddamn, this all of a sudden turned into the fucking Lifetime Network medical channel here. He can't regulate rejection-based behavior. And as he's doing this talk, I'm writing, what the fuck is this? And he's been bullied, abused, lied to, and cheated on, and kids threw quarters at him and said, pick him up, Jew boy. I remember hearing that before. And it made him think that everyone was a scumbag and he had to backstab people before they backstabbed him. And this is how he's pouring his heart out to people. And I wrote, is he trying to turn babyface by saying he's got mental problems? He gets his feelings hurt easy, and he became a criminal because people called him names. Is that what today's audience wants in a hero? I don't know.
In a hero, no. In a babyface, maybe.
But anyway, being a scumbag is easy. What's hard is being vulnerable and open. There's a lot of fucking feelings and sensitivity being talked about on this program lately.
Listen, if you're going to turn babyface, you have to know who the audience is.
God damn it, I'm just thinking if this isn't a heel plot, I'm going to jump off a bridge because I don't want to hear MJF be soft and fucking feeling. But anyway, MJF said he's not scared anymore because of the fans, because they care about Max. You people got sympathy for the devil. I'm still a scumbag, but goddamn it, and this is another reason why Jobber Trent earlier shouldn't have said goddamn, because the top fucking star was about to say it. He said, but goddamn it, I'm ready to be your scumbag. And then people chant, he's a scumbag. And then he credits Adam Cole with being the person who taught him not to live with hate in his heart. And gave Adam the big intro. He's this, bing, 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 builds him up. My best friend, Adam Cole. And here comes Adam Cole, and he says, I too, Max, was scared and afraid at one time. He was once a heel, and it was the only reason he was a heel. It wasn't for the money or the glory or the pussy. It was because he was scared and insecure. And he pumped MJF up, and the people love him. There's a good guy in you deep down, Max. Everybody's proud of Max. They plugged the new t-shirt. And then MJF said he promised Adam a title shot after their tag team situation with FTR. And he milked that he wasn't going to give it to him. And you could see Adam's face got crestfallen, and the people started going, and then he revealed that he's not giving him a match. He's giving him the match, the main event at Wembley Stadium for the title. And Adam Cole signs the contract for the AEW World title. And they both tell each other that they love each other. And then they go to the back, and there's Roderick Strong throwing shit around and pitching a fit and just cussing up a storm. This was a very long segment, but in this show, I'll take it. I don't know. Now people are saying, well, no, this is going to be Adam Cole is going to switch heel on MJF, and Roddy will join Adam Cole, and they're both going to, I don't know what the fuck. And maybe that's the point. We don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And normally that's good. With the bloodline, it's good. With this, it may be good, but I think the problem is that it's AEW, and Tony Khan is somehow involved in the people that he listens to. I never have any confidence that when I see something that I go, oh shit, that it's going to end up being good. It usually ends up being fucking stupid and not making any sense. But do we have hope, Brian? Should we have hope here?
Let me ask you this. What do you think is more valuable right now? Coming out of Wembley. Cole and MJF continuing on. Sometimes as a team, always as a friendship. The top baby faces get along. They help each other out every now and then. They sell a lot of merch. Or Adam Cole becomes a white-hot heel because he turns on MJF right when the fans finally accept him.
I think something has to happen. Whatever is going to happen has to happen at Wembley. It can't just be they go to a draw and hug.
Cole fucks him out of the belt.
Oh, boy, Jesus Christ.
Roddy helps Cole win the belt.
Do you see Adam Cole as the world champion right now? Because here's the thing. They've got they can't have a bigger money match, but it's a pay-per-view match, MJF and Punk. Eventually to reunify or reunite or determine who the real champion is, the guy that was never beaten or the current title holder. And MJF is fine for being a babyface there because Punk can be both, especially now, and he's bulletproof at this point. You can cheer him or you can fucking boo him. It fits. Everything fits. Yeah. But if MJF loses this belt before then, that really kind of muddies that the fuck up. Can Adam Cole turn against MJF because MJF beats him? MJF wins, and Cole doesn't take it gracefully.
On the topic of Punk and the real world championship, which is what they're calling it, do you think that because they've just finally introduced this, he just took it out of the bag, he just spray painted it, they need to ride that for a while before title unification?
Oh, good God, yes. They, like you said, they just started. They just mentioned it. He just brought it out of the bag. This is a 3-month, or I don't know what their next major show is after All In, All Out, and in between, whatever the fuck they're doing end of August, 1st of September, but it needs to be the next big event at least, if not 2 after that, before they finally get there.
And again, the other option is they have a match, one of them wins, maybe once again they tease someone's going to turn and they don't, and the fans are happy that these two that are both former heels who could do dastardly things somehow enjoy playing video games together, and Adam Cole hanging out at the bar when MJF leaves with all the women. I don't know what their relationship really is.
If they've got this far, if they're in front of 75,000 people on a stage like Wembley, they've got to do something to move this forward besides everybody just, somebody being disappointed and learning to live with it, I would think. I don't know what they're thinking.
Hey, what's the... I don't know if I should say it out loud now. Now I'll jinx it.
What?
What's the status of Kyle O'Reilly right now?
We don't know. He got surgery of some description and has been out ever since.
That was a while ago. I'm not saying he has to heal right away, but
I think it was his neck. I think it's like a year type of deal.
Okay.
But
but it's intriguing. We have no idea where
who does MJF get to fight all these fucking guys? And he's still the singles world champion and above. I don't know.
What do you mean? Who does he get to fight all these guys? Like who's on his side?
Well, yeah, if Adam Cole turns on him and Adam Cole has Kyle O'Reilly and has Roderick Strong,
hey,
MJF's going to have to go find those kids that threw the coins at him.
Hey, you know who he could find? I'll fantasy book this with you. He's an all-new MJF. He's changed. Everyone who said you need to change, he has.
Yeah.
He's showing it. He's giving the fans pizza. I've seen a photo of it. Maybe he can go to a friend who could certainly use some help right now, named Wardlow, and say, look, I know me and you, we've been through a lot, and we could focus on the bad times at the very end, or we could focus on all the good times and all the women and all the drinks. And what do you say? I could use a friend. And Wardlow could say, I've been looking for a reason to ditch Arn. This sounds like the plan. There you go.
I forgot about Wardlow being there.
Right?
But now here's the thing. Now since Wardlow is as big as Cole and O'Reilly and Roddy put together, who does Cole and O'Reilly and Roddy go to get to even up between MJF and Wardlow?
You can go ridiculous. Well, not ridiculous, but Big Bill wouldn't be a perfect fit, but Big Bill's a bigger guy. I'm just trying to think of bigger people there.
Let's just have everybody pick sides.
Nick Camarado, who's a big guy there? They can find someone.
All right. Well, speaking of finding somebody, next up, we were treated to a 6-man tag team confrontation with the Buckaroos. Of course, Maddie and Nikki and the Cucamonga kids there and their friend Twinkle Toes against Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Zippy the Pinhead. And apparently, as I was skipping through this, the Hardy Boys and Hangnail Page and a guitar interfered. And since Jay Lethal is the best talent of the 6 in the match, that's the guy they beat. What the fuck did I miss?
Probably everything that I missed because, I'm not going to watch this. I wasn't going to watch this match.
And I mean, they gimmicked it up. You could tell on fast forward to get through it. That's why the Hardys were running in and Hangnail. Hangnail needed to be there because they cut a promo afterwards, or what they consider a promo. Talking about how they had re-signed and they're going to be around for a while. And then Twinkle Toes put on a little extra douchebaggery in his voice than normal and wished us good night, and it was over.
Yeah, for me, it was like...
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
And then you can comment on that. But has there ever been a case where any single wrestling personality in the business has ever been praised as the best in the business by this number of people and has never done a memorable, a significant, or even a really fired up good promo? Anybody ever?
Well, I think to the fans who like Kenny Omega, they would probably point to a Japanese promo or something here or there, but I think he's a horrible promo, and I think four of them.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the thing about the Bucks and Omega and even Adam Page, and Adam Page is the best of the 4 of them, and even he stinks, but none of them could do promos because they all come across like, Kenny and the Bucks come across so unnatural and fake, but in different ways. So I don't think you can combine them at the same time.
Well, anyway, that's what happened there. Did you like the video of the breaking and entering and criminal aggravated assault.
No, I hated this. I absolutely hated this segment completely. This is everything I hate about these vignette videos. Completely fake. I mean, it looks good. It would be good on like Showtime, like in the middle of some show, like, here's what happened. But for wrestling, no, this doesn't work for me.
Last week on The Wire.
Yeah, The Wire, they wish. This doesn't work for me for wrestling, no.
And I don't even know whether they bothered to send anybody of any, like a producer, anybody with any experience, or whether they just tell the guys, oh, y'all got cameras out there. Darby knows how to shoot stuff. Just shoot it and send it to us. But Swerve Strickland and A.R. Fox go to Nick Wayne's house and his training garage where his father, Buddy Wayne, trained him.
Trespassing.
Thank you. As I go through, list the criminal offenses. And they've got somebody with them that's got the camera phone, so they're shooting this on video. And
Darby.
Yeah. And basically they go in, and Nick Wayne is the young, hotshot prodigy babyface that has the sympathetic backstory that they've wanted to get over. And instead of, yes, for the kind of people who like the modern matches, he had a match with Swerve on TV. That's fine. I didn't like it because it didn't show that he could work. It just showed that he could tumble. But nevertheless, you put him in the ring and let him beat normal folks and really hang with the upper level folks. And sooner or later, if he has any charisma and he's not a one-trick pony, he'll get over. But instead, they want to go and do some phony shit and make the guy cut his fucking head off. So they go into his training facility there and they say, well, train me, Nick. And they're trash talking him, and they beat up his friends that he's training with. And when he gets in a scuffle with them, they take his father's picture and they break the glass frame over his head. And he goes down, and it's one thing getting color, using a blade in the middle in the match or after a match in front of thousands of people when you got the adrenaline going. But they made this kid go down and fucking gig in front of 4 people and a guy holding a camera in a fucking barn for this phony fucking angle that wouldn't really possibly actually happen. If they were going to commit the crime, they wouldn't broadcast it on television. They wouldn't tape it and send it to the fucking AEW producers. And if it was real, the AEW producers wouldn't have aired it. AEW wouldn't even tell us that their goddamn top stars got in a fist fight, hey, Rube, in the locker room. You think they're going to say that some of their mid-card guys fucking broke into this fucking guy's house, have fucking cut him open with goddamn bashing shit over his head, and then picked up his telephone and made him call Darby? The kid's bleeding, and they make him punch the fucking number into the phone to call Darby so they can trash talk Darby, and Swerve be dramatic with his verbiage. And then the kid's laying there in a puddle of fucking blood. Probably a cut that would require stitches unless he took a whole bottle of aspirin beforehand. It was fake. It wasn't even to the level of the horseman jumping Dusty in the parking lot. Was a goddamn, hey, we got this cameraman and we're going to show people what's going on, and in and boom and done and out. And you could go, holy shit. But this was just talking and phoniness. And where did his friends go? The 2 friends, there was at least one friend. I thought there was 2 friends. Maybe the same guy got in the ring twice.
Oh, they're still training. They're not ready for assault and battery yet.
Well, no, once that they got dumped out of the ring, there was shit going on for another minute and a half. They're holding Darby, holding Nick Wayne, making him make the phone call. These guys they couldn't get back up. They couldn't go find a bat or a shovel. Help me.
If there's any place you'd get away with crime like this, it's probably Washington or Oregon right now. So I guess it makes sense in that way. Again, this was all right as a scene for something. This doesn't work for me as a scene on the wrestling show. The wrestling show shouldn't have scenes. And
the scene should be seen and not heard.
That's what this was. You know, if they wanted to do something where Nick Wayne gets attacked, there was a way to do it so that it felt like it fit within the show, not that it was part of a movie or something. And it was just over the top. Again, you know, how would this happen and then get aired? AEW is scared about everything with legal. We have some unfortunate news. There's been a very violent and illegal assault at the home of Nick Wayne and his family. Wait, we have footage? Hey, let's play the footage.
Yeah. This is going to end up in court, folks. We can see it coming a mile away. So let us show you everything we've got. We'll spill our guts over there. We got criminal trespass. We've got assault and battery. We've got aggravated mayhem. And actually, they were keeping him in one place against his will. That's kidnapping.
I guess so.
All righty. Anyway, the next match was for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team title with Ozzy Oldham defending against Commander and Viking O. And I wrote, you got to be kidding, O. And 10 minutes later, Ozzy Oldham was still the Ring of Honor Tag Team champions. Where did that fucking come from?
This was so out of nowhere. Give them credit, Commander, who's the most ridiculous wrestler on the planet. I'm sorry. This guy always catches his breath and does his thing every match. And people just wait for him. They have to wait for him. And that's why I enjoyed this match. There was a lot of, all right, this is the time for his spot. I better wait for it. But him and El Hijo del Vikingo, who I do enjoy, matching trunks for a tag team. When do you see that? So that was nice to see. I guess Alex Abrahantes is now their manager. I'm glad that he's now being put with this brand new tag team.
Has he ever spoken in the last year?
It says Hype Man on his jacket.
We used to hear him say, well, Penthouse says.
That's what got him over.
We don't hear shit. Yeah.
That's how he got over, so they stopped doing it so he wouldn't get over so much.
Then why is he out there? What does he do? They had a package on the Punk Starks situation on Collision and to promote Saturday's event there on the wrestling program that they produce. So at least, and by the way, I heard little Birdie told me on the interwebs that they're going to be doing a taping of Collision and Dynamite all in the same night in the same place before they go to England at the end of the month. So I wonder, with all of the members of the Land of Misfit Toys in the same building, are they going to have, okay, Collision folks can only inhabit the south side of the building and Dynamite has to stay in the north? Or how are they going to segregate the people that are going to break out into all-out open warfare and try to eviscerate each other if they run across each other in catering? Are the two caterings? What's going to happen here?
They got what they wanted. They got the money. I don't think they're going to care anymore.
Oh, so now that they've renewed their contracts and they're going to be soaking Tony for years to come, well, then maybe, does that mean that Punk could call him on a phone or anything? Or will he still get reprimanded by legal staff if he was to do a thing like that?
Do not contact Kenny. Do not contact the Bucks. That would be inappropriate.
That was a quote, right? Do not contact. He was put on the do not call list. Speaking of don't contact me ever again, the main event of this television program should not contact me ever again. The main event was for the women's title with Toni Storm against Hikaru Shida. She's around still. She's the least offensive of the bunch of them, but still, it's been a long time since we've seen her, and I hadn't missed her, but where did this come from to be the television main event for the last 15 to 17 minutes of the show? Unless they've just said, okay, we're folding our tent and going home here early.
Kenny signed a new deal. Shida got the main event.
Oh, good Lord. I guess Toni retained, didn't she?
No, Shida won the title.
Are you fucking kidding?
No, are you serious? You didn't see it? Shida won the title.
No, of course I didn't watch this. Shida won the
I thought maybe you went to the ending.
No, I did. Why? I didn't care. I thought, okay, they're just putting Kenny signs a new contract and Shida wins the title. Wouldn't you know who won the pony? Why is this woman suddenly win the women's title? All the time and effort they put into Toni Storm and Ruby So-So and Paige or Soraya or whatever her name is, who are actually names in the business that can speak English, do promos. Toni Storm can work. But Shida, he had it put in the contract, didn't he?
I don't think so.
Why? How else would this happen?
I don't think it's contractual that Shida will win the world championship. There's no way.
Then why would that happen?
Tony Khan.
He put in the contract, one of my favorite girls from Japan has to be the champion.
Tony Khan thought this was the time to get the belt off Toni Storm, leading into the big Wembley Stadium show. And they even talked about the fact that...
Wembley Stadium in Tokyo?
No, but...
Isn't Toni Storm? Is she Australian or
she's Australian?
UK? Okay, closer than goddamn Japan. Toni Storm's been in the WWE. WWE's been to England. They're huge in England. Toni Storm's been on this television. She's the only girl on the roster practically that can fucking work. And they beat her before the stadium show and put the belt on a girl that we have not seen on this television program in any meaningful way in months and months and months.
Yes.
We're done here.
Well, that was AEW Dynamite, and unfortunately, let me just double check, the ratings are not yet in.
Oh, God damn it.
I gotta see. Again, I don't want to assume, because they hit you sometimes, and it's like the worst shit you've ever seen, and it's like they pulled 950 for that segment or something. But there's no way the people didn't jump off the fucking boat by the end of this show.
I think the people were floating by the fourth quarter.
By the fourth quarter of the show, not the fourth. I think of football
yes.
when you're saying
No,
that.
I'm talking about the fourth quarter. They were floating by that point.